LoreWarrior vehicles. Luciano White Wolverine. As its name implies, an Arctic crawler is built for cold, icy climates, preferably with terrain constantly covered in ice or hard-packed snow. In addition to being capable of functioning in temperatures well below freezing, a good Arctic crawler is also of lightweight construction, yet stable against sudden winds and can cope with most obstacles thrown unexpectedly into its path. If that was what the brothers Luciano had planned when they started to tinker with the rusty ground tug they found at a nearby abandoned military airport, it's lost to history. Fact is, their handicraft proved to be a perfect vehicle on frosty Rubicon. Not averse to doing some business, the brothers soon found themselves opening a little shop, upgrading their neighbours' machines for fair prices and the occasional red Wolverine fur. In dull winter time, when, except for the occasional express repair, customers were scarce, Romeo profited from the growing economy and the young colony. From short sightseeing tours to demanding hikes across the ice desert, he offered attractions of all variations in the Bassas Glacier area. Giacomo preferred to stay in the warm garage instead, further optimizing and tweaking components, profiting from whatever feedback customers or his brother were willing to part with. As such, it came as no surprise when he came forward some years later with a design entirely of his own, simply called White Wolverine. From there on, the brothers' story went on like those of so many other successful startup enterprises. Rising order figures were met with expanded production capabilities, more sales leading to multiplied income, and this too, well, almost anything. In case of the Lucianos, they didn't spend it on luxuries, but broadened their palette of models, instead to stay ahead of the customer market. At the core of it though, the White Wolverine still stood. Having undergone only minor changes, it had long since become the epitome of an Arctic crawler. Success had its downsides, of course, and while generally content with his life's work, Giacomo once mentioned in an interview that, deep inside, he still gnawed on an unfortunate incident dating back to the late 2560s. Soon after that interview, he proudly presented a major change to the White Wolverine, the non-intelligent drive assembly. Sounded like something not so positive at first. This, his invention, was a stroke of genius. Instead of using more and more sophisticated computers to calculate the positioning of the wheels, tracks, and struts to keep the vehicles balanced through difficult terrain, Giacomo went the other way. After a year-long study of insects whose leg reactions are lightning fast and yet not coordinated by a central brain, he found a way to emulate the method by mechanical means, using no computer chips, hence the non-intelligent drive assembly. The tragic part about it was that Giacomo, in his ecstasy, had forgotten to claim a patent for his invention, and naturally, when he wanted to do so later in the year, it had already been done by a certain New Earth trading company, which conveniently announced the drive assembly problems plaguing their vedette tank, since its inception had been solved through the next level in drive technology, just a few months later. Now that is a good little way of writing something, where you take a civilian vehicle, you have a little bit of a story behind it, and then you tie that into a vehicle write-up from way back, in the case of the Vedette. This is a vehicle that is an 8-ton chassis that can move 4 and flank 6, has a petrochemical engine, it has 13 armour with 4 on the front, 3 on the sides and 3 on the rear, and it's a snowmobile chassis, a control modification with a searchlight. Classic little icy sort of search and rescue type vehicle, explorer, that kind of thing. Good for prospecting and the such. Nice little vehicle that if you were doing a little bit of a tabletop MechWarrior RPG, let's say, that you might have the players maybe driving a few of these around, or a couple of them, while they're on a mission to maybe get somewhere behind enemy lines, for instance, or possibly having to find some kind of lost expedition, let's say, or maybe trying to locate a Star League facility or something like that. Maybe the players are on a bit of a treasure hunt or whatever, but you've got some interesting little vehicles. That's sort of like, so we're back to the vehicle annex, and but I do like that with the write-up there, with the little bit that sort of leads into New Earth Trading Company basically ripping off the poor guy. Not that obviously he'd not already made a load of money and the such, but yeah, there's a little bit of tragic element there of the bigger company stealing off the smaller guys, and you know, no credit being given in the rough and uncompromising world of business. And yeah, it's Kind of sad, but yeah, that's the Luciano White Wolverine. The art's nice little vehicle, quite like it. It's got that sort of, yeah, it sticks with that 80s kind of sci-fi vibe. That's obviously a lot of the original kind of art went with. And yeah, it's cool. I like it. There's not much else to say about it, unfortunately. But yeah, it's nice to get back with these little vehicles. The vehicle annex does have some interesting ones. The last one I did was the Gina Durpak Elite train series, which obviously gave me the inspiration for doing the Land Train, the Dante Run tabletop series. And who knows, maybe vehicles like this can come up with some kind of use for them in the future. So a different vehicle can open up new little interesting stories. But yeah, that was the Luciano White Wolverine. As always, thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you have a good week, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.